Christian Lauba. I think everybody knows your music and Richard Ducros as performing your music. I read in my research, I did a little bit of research to be prepared also, that you're working together for 20 years, is that correct?
Yes, maybe a little more. Okay, yes, maybe a little more because he was, I think it's 23 years old, and he was, I heard him when he was 15 years old in a little place, but we did not know each other. But I heard him at the conservatory in Bordeaux, in the class of Jean-Marie Londex. So I heard him during the exams, and for me, he was the best. This is why I chose him, and he chose me too to compose. He asked me to compose so many pieces for him because he accepted the challenge of inventing a new repertoire during almost 25 years. As I told you 2 days ago, my music is quite challenging because you have to respect the old parameters of playing in tune, in rhythm, no rubato, ancient parameters, and you have to add the new parameters too, multiphonics, slaps, and circular breathing. And so this is the difficulty of my music. You have to be well prepared with the techniques of the past, the tradition, but also prepared to the new parameters. This is why it is so difficult. And also this is why I need young people to do it, because I told you that teachers don't have time. Yeah. Not because they are bad players, I don't mean, but they need to be free, to work on my pieces.
Yeah. And how did you experience this, Richard, during your young studying years? Because I think when I started your music, practicing your music, there were a lot of things. I think I started with your music when I started to notice that there's a lot of other things in the classical saxophone repertoire. I started to look for contemporary music. And especially I started with balafon.
Yeah, do you want Richard to explain maybe?
Yeah.
Yes, balafon, I can explain that. I told you 2 days ago that I was a bit fed up with people having so much success with hard and adria without playing correctly. They had a big success not playing the notes, and I was really crazy about it because they could cheat, because they are a bit rhapsodic pieces, and even if you can play them very respectful of the text like Richard did afterwards, but they could have a big success without playing exactly what I wanted. And I composed balafon, jungle, and the rest because you can play or you can't play. Here you can't cheat. If you play balafon, if you don't know circular breathing, it doesn't work. If you are not in tune, if you are not steady, like Revel in the Bolero, it doesn't work. It's the same with jungle. If you can't slap, you can't play it.
Yeah.
But I wanted saxophonists to be like violinists when they play pits. A slap is a pits. It's a pits for wind instruments, and multiphonics are the double or triple strings of the partita by Bach. It is the same. I did not invent anything. And circular breathing is part of traditional music in Africa and other countries for 1,000 years. I just wanted to amplify what maybe I did not invent myself, but to introduce these parameters in written music. Slaps, jazzmen, they can play slaps. But I did it in a classical way. I was fed up people doing just from time to time. With me, they had to do, which is more challenging and more interesting. Like in the symphony, the fourth symphony by Tchaikovsky, you have the scherzo, which is played during 5 minutes with only pits, with the strings. It's the same. it's very challenging. It was the first time in the history of music you had in a symphony a movement with 4 minutes of pizzicati.
Yeah, and I have a little music just to listen to balafon to get the example, and maybe we can listen a little bit and concentrate.
Maybe you could choose Richard's version.
Yeah, well, I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it. But the rest of the presentation is only examples of Richard. Only. I'm sorry for this. But...
Oh no, never mind. No, because Joël, well, it is dedicated to him, and he was the first one to play balafon. Yeah, he was the first one. It's quite a good version too.
Okay. Okay, for me, balafon is really a nice meditative piece. I think the usage of multiphonics in your music, it's not like an effect for me. It's more like, I guess, it's part of the music, and you use it like chords. Am I right?
Yeah, it's a genuine chord. Also, I do not want to have a simple modern effect, which is so easy to realize. No, I wanted it. I wanted multiphonics which correspond to the melodic patterns and the harmonic pattern of the piece, and I wanted to discover a hidden aspect of the saxophone. Normally, the saxophone playing mezzo forte, especially in jazz, they are right to do it. But there is an aspect when it is subtone, like it is here. It is an aspect that people do not, how you say, exploit it. People do not exploit this hidden aspect of the saxophone to be very mild, very mild. And the difficulty of the piece is that you start very mild, you have to be in tune, steady, and to keep forces for the end of the piece. So you have to have a special reed which can resist the end of the piece, which is fortissimo, and the beginning, which is pianissimo. And this is the first time Joël was doing it. And you know that it was almost the 100th version of it before I accept that he makes a CD out of the piece. Because I told him, it is your first CD, it has to be perfect. And he was exhausted, and it was at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, this is the version you can use. Yeah, no, it's a good version. For me, it is 28 years ago. It lacks a little bit of swing, a swing to find, and also the tuning of the C sharp, which is so difficult to have, just little details. But it's a good version. This is why I asked Richard Ducros to come with me to give master classes in Chicago at Northwestern University, invited by Frederick Hemke, who was a wonderful teacher. And I brought Richard with me. And maybe Richard could you could tell what how he worked on the piece. You can explain.
At the beginning, the 9 studies were a huge challenge for students because so many things were absolutely new. So there is a technical challenge with circular breathing, how to play subtone piano so long. It was another challenge in jungle for the slap, so long slap, so fast, and challenge with multiphonics also in Senza or in Savane. It was very, very, very difficult. And studies have a technical challenge, but also what is very, very and more difficult, it's to understand the stylistic challenge, because it was not new, but systematic, that this music is not only abstract. This music has some roots, very important, and very important style. So I want to say, to arrive to play this technical challenge, you absolutely must have to understand the style and to be in the good style. If you are not in the good style, it's impossible to play the technical things. And the style is defined by the nuances, the swing, all the rhythms in this music have to. I like to search, for example, a popular root of the rhythm. For example, in hard, it's tap tada tada, pam 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 pada pada. It's not tap tada tada, tap tap tada tada. It's not abstract. It's very swing. Tam tadam tadam, tam tam tadam tadam. It's the same in balafon when you play regular eight note.
Yeah.
You can search a melodic approach with the high note and the low notes, and there are some melodies in the low note and high notes, and a swing between all them. So and it's why the sound get more and more round and more beautiful, and it's easier and easier to play piano when you understand exactly the melodic things and all these things. So these two challenges were very extremely difficult at the beginning, because it's so sophisticated, and what this music means. What this music means, in fact, it's not only abstraction.
Yeah, my models are the partitas by Bach and the cello, the suite by Bach also, where all is amplified, because at the end of the cello suite you have a gigue, you have a sarabande, which are also popular rhythms and styles, but you can be very abstract just using a popular rhythm, an Allemande come from Germany. And I was doing the same with hard from James Brown or Michael Jackson, and in balafon it's African, but with the view of a French composer written music. I'm not inventing anything. I'm just doing the same in my time.
But instead of instead of using, for example, spectral chord from IRCAM with many notes like this, Christian will use a Gershwin chord or a sophisticated jazz standard chord. So with the roots all the time, there are
like in Stan with for baritone and tape. It is a blues chord and also a Gershwin chord. It is, and no one notices it, but it is on I Got Rhythm. I Got Rhythm. The first chord is it's at 11th or 13th, interval.
The elements are almost comment on dit, la musique de muraille,
Spectral.
are almost spectral, but in fact, the origin, the source,
The roots
are more in jazz.
It's like Debussy, Iberia. He loved Spain, and Debussy composed Iberia, just homage to Spain. And the Bolero by Ravel is a very abstract piece. It does not exist, but he wanted to amplify a Bolero coming from Spain. And this is what is interesting in music, like Beethoven, at the end, the rondo finale of a sonata come from popular music, or Haydn symphonies or Mozart symphonies. I'm just doing the same, but with my period.
It's interesting to know also for young saxophone players and students in masters and even professional musicians who starts to get to know music from you and listen to recordings of Richard. It's interesting to know that there's a lot of influences in your music, and it's nice to know that you can base your interpretations on other things and know that there's a certain amount of influences, and that's nice to know which direction, I think. And this is a question from Lilani. What does attract you, Richard, the most to the music of Richard Lauba?
Oh, for me, the most important attraction in this music is to the rhythm in this music. All the time there is a rhythm, the structure, all the time it's rhythmical, and I try to find a popular rhythm in this music. Also in classical music it's possible, but I reproach too often in contemporary music it's just abstract and modern, but the rhythm are without any roots, and and the rhythm are too short. All the time it's turning up, and after a silence, many silences, and after a little sentence and silences. And what I like in Christian music, it's like in Mendelssohn, it never stops, or like in Bach. In Bach, all the time, when it's a jig or what you want, it never stops. And this is very, very new in contemporary music for me. Balafon, it's only 80 notes, just some croche like this, and it's brand new. And so for me, this is very important for me.
Yeah. Which piece did you actually started when you met each other? The first piece you played?
No. After I think the first piece I tried, it was Balafon and Taj.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The first one was Balafon, I think.
Yeah, and Touch is also a very one of my personal favorite. Again, extra with heart. Maybe we can listen a little bit too hard for the people who don't know it.
Oh yes, this is the best version.
Exactly, that's why I took it. Yeah, it's like the title says, hard. It's really a rough piece. I really like it because it also gives another dimension to the tenor saxophone. I imagine that as a player, when you see a score like this, and this is also in combination with the question of Jorge from Portugal. How do you start? Like he asks, how how do you start with samba and pieces like samba and jungle for somebody who's totally new at your music, and also for people who know your music very well? How do you start with it? Which details do you give extra connotation, and how do you start exactly with it?
Il te demande, oui, comment tu as commencé Hard? Tu avais des doutes parce que justement.
Hard was the most difficult stylistically for me. I played more etudes before, balafon, jungle, taj, savane, sanza, many etudes, and I tried hard, and I didn't arrive. At the beginning, it was impossible, so I stopped the piece for many years, and I think 3 or 4 years. You understand me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I stopped, and I restart 4 years later.
Tu étais déçu par les interprétations des autres, justement.
Yes, I restart because I wanted to bring a precision in the piece. To be rhapsodic, yes, but not too much free. Yeah. And I understood the rhythms and the rhapsodic aspect of hard, but I needed time to understand this. And what was very important for me, and it's also very important, it's to understand the form of the piece, the architecture, to have a global idea from the beginning, to know exactly where I go. For example, if there is one page horribly difficult to play, for example, I can practice some pages later or some moment before and improvise a little bit, waiting I am perfect technically to play from the beginning to the end. But I know by reading exactly the structure and the form. And after, when you play, you need to, you have to show this form to the public. Don't play just a text like this, or not playing just for the technical challenge. No, it's music. And to give this music to the public, it's very important to have these parameters.
Yeah, yes, because I was disappointed. For example, the Hard is dedicated to Jean-Michel Goury. And so he premiered it at the Congress in Tokyo. So it was a premiere, and then he made a CD. But he did it like in a hall at the conservatory in Bordeaux, just like this, just one take. And it is not the way I like to work, because it's not good. It's not good. I told him, but we have to redo it. And Richard was listening to many people playing hard with the bad parameters. So he was, I'm not attracted by this piece. And then I told him, just play it like you do, like it's an etude. It is an etude. And it is built like a concerto by Mozart with a cadenza at the end. There is a progression of the rhythm. It is very classical. And there is a slight improvisation at the end.
I remember for me the déclic. You understand what is a déclic in my mind? The little light to play hard. It was to try to, comment on dit sous-entendre?
Undertake
the pulsation from the beginning to the end. We have the 16 notes all the time.
And it is the same value from beginning to the end. And you don't have to change it.
For me, it was a déclic to imagine a sort of drummer during a solo, but with the pulse all the time regular. And I put some little pulsation on my score. When there are some silences, I keep the pulse in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4. I count with the pulse, and like this, it's more.
In all styles of music, but pianists, for example, they do the same mistake with Brahms and Beethoven. They forget that in the silence you have to keep the same pace and the same values. A silence must have the same values, which is before and after, or you lose, you know, the pace of the piece. You have to be very careful for this. And what I wanted with my music is that an ordinary audience can have a pleasure, and that intellectuals can have also a pleasure, which is the purpose also of the piano concerto by Mozart, that just ordinary people have a great pleasure hearing a piece, and that the specialist also likes the piece too. It's a very difficult balance to find. And for example, Hard, we did it in Paris, in the biggest modern festival in Paris called Festival d'Automne. And Richard played Hard, and it was the hugest success of the festival, because it's brand new music, but however the piece is 25 years old, it looks so new, even for this audience. But also people coming maybe for the first time, they had a very big attitude. They loved it.
And with this music, before you ask me what I like in this music and why I try to play a lot and this music, because j'ai oublié ce que je veux dire. You can show your instrument to a violinist or a great pianist with this music. This is the saxophone now. You understand what I mean? Yeah. You are not with a little piece, classical or little transcription in a great pianist. No, you arrive with hard, and they have no equivalent in piano in modern.
And they are jealous.
They are jealous. And it's genuine for the saxophone. So, and for a jazzman also, I've met Michael Brecker when I was young, and I bring him Christian studies in recording, my first recording, and he listened to this very interested because it was brand new, and I could communicate with great jazzman, with great classical piano player with this music because it's very strong. And
yes, many pianists, they asked me to compose pieces because they wanted pieces like I do for the saxophone, like Ivo Janssen, for example, in Brazil, something that maybe you listened to. It was 30 years ago at the Concertgebouw, and Bond had played Hard, and it was a good version at the time. And so he wanted the same. I want the same for the piano. And Brigitte Angerer, which was our most famous pianist, she's dead now, but she heard Balafon and Django by Richard. I want a piano piece, and so I composed a 2 piano piece for her, Brigitte Angerer, and Boris Berezovsky, which is one of the most famous pianists of the time. So for the first time, they admire you. It wasn't my purpose. I don't want to boast and say that I'm the best composer. It's not so. But I wanted to give you pieces to be able to live on the saxophone, not only on teaching and playing in master classes or congresses. Richard could live during 20 years playing only original pieces like mine or Glazunov, Debussy, Caplet. You can live on the saxophone, but if you play genuine pieces, a genuine repertoire, they don't like too much transcriptions. I told you 2 days ago that big directors of festivals and in big theaters, they don't want transcriptions.
You are not invited.
They are not invited for this.
They prefer the original.
They want the original. I don't mean that I reject totally transcription. We do it at home just to pronounce.
Yes, for the students,
it's very interesting to do it. Or popular music like Gershwin and Dvorak, why not the American saxophone, the string quartet, to do it with saxophone? It works when there is a popular background. But you have to be very careful with transcription. You can play it in an encore, for example, in an encore, just a little to show that you know the past. But I wanted to give you food for tomorrow.
And is that the reason why you started to write for saxophone? Is a question from Lani. when did you start composing for this instrument, and what's so interesting about the saxophone that you find that you tuned your music to the saxophone?
Oh, yeah, it's a big mystery because I told you I started music at the age of 30 years old, which is very late. I was a Spanish teacher before, so nothing to do with it. But a good friend of mine told me to go to the Conservatory of Bordeaux. There was a composition class, and that's all. And it was open to people at of my age. I was 30 years old. But also, you had the class of Jean-Marie Londex. And Jean-Marie Londex wanted new music. And since the beginning, he asked me pieces. He wanted for ensembles, and then he asked me the études. And all the students wanted to play my music, so I could experiment with the students who had time. It was obvious, and especially I had no, how do you say, prejudices about the saxophone. I was a brand new composer. For me, it was just a normal instrument. I had, because some of my fellow composers in Paris, they don't like the saxophone. Like they say that it is for prostitutes, like Messiaen was saying. They don't compose too many pieces for the saxophone because it is a popular instrument. But I did not have so many prejudices, and I composed naturally for the instrument. And like Haydn was doing with the string, he composed 70 string quartets, and I had to compose 70 pieces for saxophones to understand how it works. I'm not a saxophonist myself. I'm not a saxophonist. I'm just a good pianist. But no, it's for me the only instrument which is in jazz, in popular music, and in classical music. It's the only one to have three personalities with a strong image. When you have a publicity, you always have a saxophonist on the poster, always, whether it is on television or in cinema, because it is an instrument which corresponds to our time. And so I did it naturally. And I had time to compose because I was inconscient.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Richard is very involved with your music for almost more than 20 years. I think also that we can say that that's a very good and perfect reference because you work so close together. I looked up his I hope it's your latest album. Richard Ducros plays Christian Lauba with all the, not all, but a lot of solo pieces from you.
Oh yes, great.
He wrote, Jordan van Hemert from the saxophonist.org wrote a nice review. I thought I just showed everybody. Buy the CD, the link will follow later. It's a very nice reference to everything of Lauba. So this is a very nice invitation to buy the CD.
Yeah, no, Richard, for example, if you are a teacher, maybe even now, whether you're a teacher or a student, you have to listen to Richard Ducros' versions. Because for me, I don't say that they are the best. They are references because he worked with me. So all the tempos are mine. All the dynamics are mine, exactly what I wanted. Of course, he has his personality and the steadiness of the rhythm too. And it's a good start for the student. Of course, the student will do something else. Like I heard some very good version of Samba that I wrote for the great Simon Lyric, who is, so he worked during, he told you maybe during 8 months on the piece. He was crazy about it. But his version is excellent. And you have so many people playing the piece now, thanks to him. And very good versions of Samba. And Richard is preparing a new version. We are preparing a new video. So beware.
We'll follow that up and we'll definitely share it. We are now in a very difficult period as an artist. For me, it's an interesting period to get to know yourself as a musician, what way you want to go. I think we can conclude that culture is a little bit on the background, that they push it away. And I think to hear from musicians such as you two, you're fully devoted of playing and composing. what's your view on this situation, and do you have tips for the young saxophone players and artists in this Zoom video, even for the rest of the artists outside of this Zoom meeting? What's your view on this?
But to be a bit courageous, because I did not know that my music will be spread after 35 years of, I did not expect, I did not want money at all. I did not want to teach or to be an important person. I wanted to be serious in composing, and Richard to be serious in working on my pieces. We have no, you did not want to be an important teacher in a conservatory or in university.
Very popular, like a violinist or a singer.
No, but little by little we had, we just wanted art, which is the main thing. Just to be patient, and we did not want to disguise. And I was talking about the saxophone must not be a transvestite. To take the repertoire of others, it's not a very good attitude. If you like your instrument, you don't have to disguise yourself in Brahms, Beethoven, and all this. It doesn't work. It works at home. For example, it is a private knowledge of your personality. It's very important. If, for example, even in ordinary life, if you go with a transvestite, it's great. It's your personal, sexual, and private. You do it, but you won't bring the transvestite to your family and all this. So, no, I am kidding, of course, but it's true. It's private. It's a pleasure which is private, but no, to be serious, because the world of music does not like people who are not don't have the good personality. They want, for example, when you play a partita by Bach, it is a partita for violin, for cello. The cellist, they don't play the partita, or a flutist won't play the clarinet concerto by Mozart. You understand? They don't disguise, because all the phrasing and all the theme are not the same in Mozart. The ending of sentences are not the same at the flute or at the violin or at the clarinet. It's very subtle. It's not the same pronunciation, even if we are not aware of it. Do you imagine how we play at the bassoon? See, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a totally different experience.
It could be.
Yeah. I think the extra touch of the tenor is gone then.
It could be a nightmare. No, to be courageous, to listen to jazz and popular music, like Brahms was doing. Even Mozart, Brahms, Schoenberg loved the waltzes by Strauss, all of them. Schoenberg, all the intellectuals at the time in Vienna, they loved the waltzes by Brahms, by Strauss and Brahms himself.
I think it's important to don't be in the phantasm of another music or another instrument. Most of the time, classical saxophone player phantasm with jazz player, for example. Me too, but I don't want to be a jazz player. I search an equivalent in the choice of my music, and I played hard or jungle to great saxophonists. To Michael Brecker and other people, I don't have the names, but they didn't laugh at me. Absolutely not.
They did not laugh.
If I play a transcription, it doesn't work. It does not interest them. I am not in the phantasm of the piano repertory or jazz repertory. I try to build the repertoire of our saxophone.
The world of saxophonists is a bit too Boy Scout, is a bit too pedagogical, because you have no saxophonist who lives on concert. No one. Whether it is Bonkamp with a good friend, Macalist, good saxophonist, but they can't live on concert. They are invited from time to time, but they have to teach. And for young saxophonists, they have to invent and to seduce how do you say, organizers, big directors, they have to seduce them with an original repertoire. They have to seduce. It's difficult to seduce, but to seduce is to be very serious all the time. Serious and to work a lot, and to have some humor, of course, and to be well-read, to be cultured, to know the repertoire, the operas by Strauss, the operas by Mozart, Schoenberg, Debussy, Ravel, Massenet, where you have so wonderful saxophone solos in his operas, like Werther by Massenet and Hérodiade, that I am listening to now. He was the first one to use the saxophone, of course, Bizet and Ravel. And you have to love, if you chose this instrument, is not to disguise with it. The saxophone is wonderful. It's a wonderful instrument. And I regret that the makers are so bad, like Selmer and the others, because your instrument has a problem. You play with an instrument which costs $3,000, whereas a violinist, they have a $20,000 instrument. Every time you have to...
20 million.
20 million. The saxophonist, a student plays with the same manner as the teacher, because you have the key noises every time you're here. And you have the C sharp, which is also, and it doesn't, and they all have a problem, like so many of my friends, at 50 years old, they can't play the instrument anymore because they have to fight against the instrument. The making is not good. The reeds are not good. And I yell at them. I went to Selma many times to tell them, please, when you have a clarinet player, he doesn't suffer, all works. And even an oboe player, the horn player, but the saxophonist, and so you need, at the time of Beethoven, if he wanted a piano, he was working with piano makers. I want more. I want 8 notes in the sharp, and 8 notes more for the basses. And Debussy and Ravel were working with the harp, and they were listening to the composers. Selmer does not listen to the composer. He listens to people that I don't trust at all, and I won't give names. No, you have to be very serious. Composers are serious people. If we say that an instrument has a problem, it has a problem of making.
Is a question from Wouter? Are there any contemporary composers that you admire?
The best one for me is Ligeti, because he helped me a lot in my career. When he heard Brazil, my piece for piano, and he was admiring Jungle and Balafon, and he said that he should have written for the saxophone. Unfortunately, he died before, but he was like me. Even if he was doing abstract music, you know, in Das Kammerkonzert, it was written intervals from Romania and Hungary, from the how do you say, gypsy music, but that he was doing very quickly, and he was using popular music, and himself was collecting all the popular Romanian songs. He was loving this popular music and trying to amplify the rhythmical patterns and melodic patterns of popular music. And for me, he's the greatest contemporary composers. I like Philippe Hurel very much also, who helped me a lot. He wrote a piece for tenor that is quite well known, Opsit. I don't know if you know it, Philippe Hurel. He was working at IRCAM, and some marimba pieces and ensemble pieces. No, you can find some good fellow composers, but to distinguish myself from this, I reintroduce rhythm, and also the fact that in French music you don't have rubato, and that musical and rhythmical sentences have to be long, because I was fed up with modern music, which is la noire, how you say, a quaver note. The tempo is 160, very slow, and all this. And with my music, I like speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to consider myself, but I like virtuosity. I like it.
An example of this. Sorry.
Yeah, not difficulty. I like virtuosity because all is possible in my music. All.
Yeah.
It's
I think
difficult.
a perfect example of virtuosity. You wrote other music than saxophone. That's nice. That's also nice to listen to. I have an example of the Belgian pianist Florian Noack, very talented and very good musician. Had the opportunity to meet him a little bit in Köln. Just this is a new piece from you. I understand.
So you have the video.
I have a video from YouTube where he's practicing it. So everybody who has a little bit of commentary, go to the concert to listen to the finished product. So it's a little bit of Steamboat.
Okay.
There's a very nice example of another piece than saxophone. I think it's really great. I'm looking forward to the final.
You have the whole version too on YouTube. You have the whole version of the piece. Yeah, you have the whole. And you know how much time? 3 days to mount the piece. 3 days. It's to show you that pianists, they have another manner of working. 3 days. It's one of the most difficult piano pieces I've composed. He became crazy, but he managed to do it because I think pianists, they have a better way of preparing all style of pieces. Because of the repertoire, of course.
Maybe for saxophone players, I think, when I'm honest to everybody, when I play pieces like Heart or something, I think after a while, wow, it's so much aggressive things, and I'm becoming crazy, and I have to put it down and then start with a fresh head. It's a nice effect that it has on the energy you can put in this piece. And another piece that I really like is the Time Machine for orchestra. Difficult parts in the orchestra.
Time Machine. Oh yeah. Oh yes, you have it too.
Yeah, it's so difficult when I see it. The timing and the different rhythms. Maybe we can listen a little bit to it. First 2 minutes. think I hear from a little bit more technique and rhythmical passages. We go to a very tonal little piece that we got. What's the inspiration there? Which influences are there in your music?
Yeah, this is because it is like an overture of my opera, La Lettre des Sables. And so it is like a time machine which passes from a style to another. I don't know if you saw the time machine, which is an old film of the 50s, where, for example, when the machine starts to go in the past, you have many objects turning around, like in a whirl. You have a chair, you have a photograph and all this. And it's a bit like this. Suddenly you have a tonal theme which comes like in a tourbillon, in a whirl like this. And you pass from, it is the machine, which is the beginning, like a machine. And it looks like an overture by Wagner, a little bit. And the machine starts. It's like an engine. And so all mingles and passes. And also I like virtuosity, passing from a passage to another. I like virtuosity, like Richard Strauss, for example. If you listen to Don Juan by Richard Strauss, which is one of my favorite symphonic poems, Don Juan, and La Mer by Debussy, and Kammerkonzert by Ligeti.
Yeah.
When you pass from passages which are linked, and of course you recognize normally my style. Even if it becomes a bit tonal, normally people see that it is Lauba music. When I compose under my name, Maticia, like Devil's Rag and the rest, normally they can recognize me because you can't breathe. You can't breathe.
Yeah, I think it's really nice that you wrote a lot for saxophone. It broadens the repertoire, and we as a saxophone choir are also happy that you wrote a piece under your
Americas.
Jean Matizia, Las Americas. For the people who don't know it, this is a version played by Scriante. Here, and I think you use also again to come back to the multiphonics. You use it really as a part to give a certain character, and that's also what we see in your solo pieces. We were wondering if there's some future projects that are coming for you and Richard. Or do you have some ideas to use the saxophone in ensemble pieces or new pieces that we can expect? Because we're all very excited to
You have 60 pieces to play before. You have the challenge.
I already played them.
No, the brand new one, which is in this CD, it is just a song, which I pay how much? For once, it is a slow piece, just a song, how much to the jazz standards of the 40s and 50s, which is just a song, which is quite different. And I wrote new pieces for Nicola Arsenisevich, which is called Gimmick, where you will have all the tricks of jazz music, but also with difficulties, which is a brand new etude. Also for Jan Grishkar, which is from Croatia, a brand new music called, what's the name? Was it? Mambo? No. It's a brand new etude too. And another one for Alex Sebastianuto, which is Flawless Flow, for Alex Sebastianuto. And a little valse russe, which I composed for a young Dimitri Pinchuk. That maybe I send you the link, which he's 13 years old, and you'll see. And I sent him my piano part, and he worked on it. I sent it to you by Messenger.
Yeah, and, I can put it in a PowerPoint presentation, and we will give it to the people who are in the meeting. I put now a link to your publications, and for the people who are interested, go to this website to buy the pieces. Also, the Amazon link for the latest CD of Richard Ducros. Now I want to ask the audience if they have some questions still for Richard Ducros.
Yes, of course.
You can put on your mic and you can ask ahead.
Yes, with pleasure.
No questions. Don't be afraid. They don't bite. Me neither.
Or maybe they don't agree.
They don't agree. Yeah, that can also. They're still here, hopefully. So I hope they all.
Yeah, and how many are they? And what countries do you have? People from many countries, or American people, or Spanish people?
Latvia, I see Spain, I see Belgium, I see Portugal, I see France. Some I'm not sure about.
Posso explicar tudo em português. É possível para mim. Puedo explicar todo en español si queréis. Puedo. Je ne parle pas le français canadien.
If there are no questions, we would like to thank you very much. Okay, sorry, we have still a question. Go ahead.
Oh yes, who is talking?
Nele should have a question. Maybe. Yeah, there she is. Hi, Nele.
Hello, good afternoon. I have a question. Yes, I am teaching at the conservatory in Liège, and I played balafon before when I was a student. And I remember there are no respirations. That's what's the fun about this piece. It's all circular breathing. But now my student was breathing, and I said, no, you can't breathe. But she said, but there are signs. And then she sent me a picture, and I saw there were added some breath signs there. And I was asking myself why.
Yes, it is Jean-Marie Londex's fault. It was the first publication of balafon, which is very ancient, what your student have. But in the new version of Le Duc, there is no commas, no breathing at all.
So you corrected it. Yes, so you prefer it without breathing? Huh?
Yeah, without. It's more challenging, and for the audience, it's amazing to see someone. It's very amazing. Yes, it's a very good publishing, because Londex was the director of collection by Le Duc, and so he added some breathing, and I yelled. I was very angry.
Yes, okay, perfect.
So no breathing at all. Oh, thank you for playing balafon.
Thank you for writing. Yes, thanks for the music. Bye-bye.
No, and thanks for playing it. Thank you very much. I hope I was not too violent in what I was saying.
Yes, yes, it's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. Merci, merci. It's important what you asked. It's very important. C'est vrai, il y avait des virgules au début.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody else who has a question. I think personally, I can say that there's a lot of saxophone pieces, and getting to know the repertoire is very interesting. You get to know new things about the saxophone. I think as a young student, you get to know a lot of multiphonics and the way how to play it. You have to learn also how to play this certain style, and it's just very interesting. Also for beginning students like balafon, I think most of the people that I know started with balafon. So exactly what Neil says. Thank you very much for writing.
Oh yeah, what she was asking was very important, because it's not betraying my music, but it was not in the style of the music, the little breathings. But what the students or teachers have to do is to listen to my other pieces, like my string quartet, for example, to see that I'm asking the same difficulties to other instruments, and to the orchestras also, that they all, I am asking this, I'm just logical with everybody. I'm logical. And I love the saxophone, really. I thank you so much. And they are all my friends. Arnaud Bonkamp is a very good teacher. I know Henke, a very good teacher too. They know who is a good teacher in Munich.
Oh yeah, Satrian.
Yeah, Coriona Satrian. You have very excellent teachers like Simon Dirick and Vincent David. All these students are very well prepared to my music, for example, and to all music. They know what to say about it. They know what to say, and I say thank you, because they could continue just teaching like they were used to. But I thank them for little by little understanding my music. It was not obvious at the time. 28 years ago, no one could play balafon and jungle. Yeah. Only Joel and Richard, only 2 persons in the world, only 2. Yeah. And now, you know, in Coriona Satrian class, you had a boy of 15 years old playing balafon and jungle by heart.
By heart. I hear that.
Yeah, you heard, maybe you heard it.
Yes, yeah,
and even in Spain, I had in Italy, you have wonderful saxophonists too, like Alex Sebastianotto, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. Before we go to the last question, I would thank you both very much for this meeting. I think it was very interesting, personally speaking. I learned a lot about influences in your music, and it will really help interpreting your music, and listen to Richard as your reference of your music is also very helpful. We would like to invite everybody next week, August 19th at 2 o'clock, not at 3. We change back to 2 o'clock with a session of Arnaud Bonkamp, and then we will...
he's coming too. Oh,
exactly,
great!
Exactly. And the last one is with Iets. That's yeah, end of August 29.
The best version of Devil's Rag by him.
Yeah,
my Devil's Rag by him is wonderful. And so take a photograph of all of us. Maybe you can have a.
So we have the last question by Wouter. He will ask this question. You can speak.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, hello.
Hello. I have a question about music notation. Did you ever experiment with different kind of graphic representation of your music, of your compositions in your career?
Not really. My music is quite clear. Like balafon and jungle, I use very old writing, and I compose with a pencil. Really, I don't have any finale. I don't know how to use it. I mean, maybe I have some score. Look, all my when I compose, I don't know if I have a manuscript. No, I try to be logical. What is written has to be heard. It has to be logical. This is why the music by Bach is understood. You have the most important parameters, the rhythm, the notes, it is high or, oh yeah, I don't know what is this.
Fiddle.
Yes, for example, this is a new violin piece which I started. It's just simple. I do it with a pencil, just to have the ordinary gesture, just an ordinary gesture, and not be influenced by the finale, which can propose solutions very easily. And by laziness, you let the machine think for you. Some people do it. No, I like to do it with a pencil because I start at the beginning, like balafon. This is a natural gesture, which I like. And no, I don't have just, of course, I read the music by ancient composer or even modern composers. But what I reproach in modern music is that the musical writing says so many things that the interpreter can't use them. It is as if in French you were using être, le verbe être, we have an accent like this. More, you had accent circonflexe, accent grave, accent aigu on the same letter. You have so many information on just one thing, and you have to do is to play this. And in my music, normally you don't have. It is difficult enough not to add too many new writing. All is very simple.
C'est dans la compréhension du style, en fait.
Yeah, it is more in the style. To play my music more than the writing is to understand what is between the lines. What style is Lauba using? What is hidden? What style is hidden? This is what is more important for me.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the question. It's very interesting. Yes, with a pencil.
Old school, they call that. Good. Yeah, like you said, we can take a picture. I will stop sharing my
best profile.
Si la caméra est là, ah oui.
Hi.
Voila. Everybody puts on a gallery view, and then you can see everyone. Hopefully.
Oh, you can have everyone. It's wonderful. Well, Zoom is wonderful for this.
T'étais pas trop sur le côté, toi, tu voyais.
Oh. I hope Dries is taking the picture. Otherwise, I will take a picture.
I'm working on it. Give me a second.
Not everybody is coming online. Voila, that's what I took.
Ah, merci. So thank you, everybody. It's very rewarding for me. I hope I was not boasting about a career which is a success. It is a result of 35 years of being very careful. Very careful, and I think life was very generous to me, being the musical director of 3 festivals and musical director of Bordeaux Orchestra, which is a big national orchestra. I'm very lucky, but because I was maybe honest and wanted to work for music, really for music. Merci, hein? Merci les amis.
Thank you very much, Christian Lauba and Richard Ducros, and hopefully we see you soon when we.
And hello to Arno.
Hello to Arno. We will do that very, very surely. So everybody, see you next week for our next session, and thank you for your for visiting and your attention. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.